Hey, Steve Kell here for Kell One, and I wanted to make a video today about trial and hardship and how we change our mind. And hopefully you can understand there's some things for us. The reason that we've decided to raise chickens and the reason we have sheep is because we encountered some information as we were living our lives that made us think differently about how we eat. And when it comes to the primal blueprint, it was something that we understood from really small bits of information over the last 5 years. Bit by bit, we started thinking differently about the way we live and the way we treat our body and the health and longevity of our lives. And so both of those things are included in what we call Kell One. And I think that those circumstances in some ways have been trials. They have been difficult circumstances, unusual circumstances, things where we had to learn quickly, things where we would make mistakes, but were things we felt strongly about, and therefore we've been committed to them. I'm thinking about that because the trials have produced something good. And it has changed our perspective. And one of my favorite movies is Rocky IV, which when I say favorite, it's like top 100. And he, at the end of the movie, says something kind of cheesy, but the movie is about change. And Rocky doesn't think he can change. But at the end, he says he's seen a lot of changing. The way that the crowd thought about him, the Russians felt about him, and the way that he felt about Russians. It's not necessarily an extremely powerful moment, but it is a very true moment. Sometimes we think we can't change, but it's the struggles and trials that give us reason to think differently about what we're doing. In your life, are there trials that you've learned from? Are there some difficult circumstances that you personally took advantage of that changed the way you think? A lot of times we want life to be easy, but I think that in most of our lives we can recognize that while things are easy, we're not very critical about why they're easy. And yesterday was the July 4th celebration of our independence, and things in this country have been easy and we have been granted so many things. We take things as if they're granted. But they were earned, and they were earned by people with principle and conviction. They weren't earned by compromise and by being wishy-washy on beliefs. They were won by courageous, bold action. And aside from that, we should be inspired by anyone who can rise up above the crowd and change their mind in spite of the movements of others. My question is, do you feel the same way? Is it ease sometimes that makes us very complacent and finds us wondering at the end of all things whether we just got lucky? And in the respect of trials, doesn't it seem like as we struggle through obstacles, when we find trouble in the way, while we try and find our destination, that those troubles make us find solutions? And the solutions can be the wrong solutions, and then we have to come up with another. So often the trial is actually the thing that gives us complete understanding. And the Bible says the same thing. Consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you go through trials of faith, because those trials produce steadfastness, and steadfastness, when it is complete, produces perfection and a lack of nothing. When it comes to Kell One, we really do want to be compromising as little as possible and we are going to go through trials. That goes for our farm, chickens and sheep, and for our health ideas. But I want you to consider that you should want some trials. It's much better to go through the trials on your own terms rather than the trials that are presented as unexpected new challenges. What I mean by that is sometimes we need to prepare with challenges. So we test ourselves in the case of driving. Nobody jumps in a car and just begins. We go through classes in the United States where we learn how to drive, we learn the rules, we learn all the basic parts of driving. We sit with someone for hours, driving alongside us, preparing us, guiding us, so that when we take the responsibility for ourselves, we're prepared. We're more safe than we otherwise would be. We do the trials in advance and take advantage of the knowledge to get us safety in the road afterward. Mind, body, spirit. What trials can you go through now on your own terms to prepare you physically, mentally, and spiritually for the next round? Because there will be more ahead. And I want to invite you to go through the trials on your own terms. In that case, for me, selfishly, I would love for you to be a client, a partner with Francie and I in the Primal Blueprint Health Coach, and take advantage of your health now to preserve health, longevity, vitality in the future. Your body is made to thrive, and it will if you give it the right fuel and rest. In the same way, the fuel that we eat, the spectrum of foods that we are prepared to eat and we will pay for, if we prepare now with the best food on the spectrum, the best that we can find, we will be preparing and laying the groundwork for what will be goodness in the future. I want to invite you to be at your best. And I think Kell One can be a part of doing that for other people. But aside from that, I hope you have some convictions about things that you do in your own life that represent this idea. Will you go through the trials on your own terms? Will you let them change your mind? Will you be confronted with difficulty and reassess the solutions that you've been told and rethink the solutions that maybe you've seen not work? Will you do it for yourself? We'd love to help, but aside from that, I hope for you personally, mind, body, and spirit, you would be prepared to live life to the full. Thanks a lot. This is Steve Kell for Kell One, and we'll see you next week.